Not that it's wrong, but that's the only thing. Versus someone who's actually going to fix their body and make them better and well-rounded and adequate. And at their peak, you might say, through all their 5 pillars.
Open your mind to understand and realize that all movements is beneficial. It's how you do it. Okay? And how you program it together. Right? Okay.
All right. Now I'm feeling offended. Go ahead.
And what has been missing from the industry, rewind the tape, like I said, is mentorship. People can research all they want. We have smartphones to do that. But you need someone to bounce back ideas, to make sure to check you when you're going in the wrong direction. Welcome into the Vitality Handbook. My name is Yao A. Owusu Jr. I'm joined with the alien, the creative director, Andre Bibbins Jr., and of course, the Terminator, Nicholas Lopez Jr. I already said we're the Vitality Handbook. Take a journey with us. Now, today we're going to talk about what? The pillar that you've all been waiting for, the exercise pillar. This is season 2. Let's buckle up. We're going to have a little conversation. Let's see what the topic will be. There is no topic. Let's freestyle, baby. Let's freestyle. Nicholas, Dre, let's get into it.
So, to the audience, and to my hosts, and
whatever that is.
and to my co-stars.
Yeah.
So, to the audience and to the squad. It's crazy because we were talking about exercise all day today.
All day.
So many gems. I'm like, sometimes
gotta save it.
Sometimes I struggle with like, guys, let's hold off.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I'm trying to recall some of the things we spoke about earlier today, and help me think about those.
I mean, for me, it's always sticking to a routine, right? We said over this last week when we were talking about having an actual routine for recovery. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what my conversation is going to be going around. It's going to be an exercise routine. So we can make what you want of exercise and how you feel about it, what your methods are, what your system is. You actually have to have something you're going to stay consistent to. And if you have a routine that is getting into your subconscious and you're going to do it over and over and over again, that is the number one thing. So for me, wherever this conversation goes, if you don't have a routine for exercise that you can stay consistent to, then this is for naught. So for me, exercise routine is going to be key, right? Now, what are we seeing in the industry? That's where I want to go because I have some things to say. I was hoping you guys were going to blast it off, but if you guys want me to go.
So that reminded me of something we spoke about earlier about how, and 2 things.
Okay.
I'm going to say about the general population. Number one, it's interesting. I'm learning, speaking to a wider audience of people. I'll let Yao go into explaining why we now have a larger pool of people to speak to and have to educate and coach. But I kind of forgot how many people have an outdated perspective on exercise, and even to the point we were speaking about earlier, where we throughout one of our corporate projects, we were speaking, guiding people through our client management process, and the perception of what
a coach
they thought
or a
it would be
trainer,
was like maybe what IG was, or maybe what our perception was in 2010.
And what is that?
Personal training being about motivation.
Only motivation.
Only motivation. Like you're purchasing, you're coming in. It's definitely experience. I
agree.
It's always going to be an experience. Everybody can choose whichever route they want to deliver that experience. But for the masses, it was still about, a personal trainer fitting a certain role, a certain personality, extroverted, cheerleader, right? And not that that's wrong, but that's the only thing. Versus someone who's actually going to fix their body and make them better and well-rounded and adequate. And at their peak, you might say,
Ooh,
through all their 5 pillars, right? So it's like, nothing wrong with an experience and getting a great sweat session and getting some energy expressed, but then, that's not the whole thing, So it's interesting seeing expectations constantly be exceeded. And then, once that shock value is there, I think, this goes into how, and now I'm going off tangent talking about business, but I'll circle it back. Okay, just a quick summary on general population's perception on exercise. I think we can talk about that it has to be expanded, right? It has to be expanded. Why do you think perception on exercise has to be expanded? Why does exercise take up a whole pillar when some people view exercise as, why do you take it so serious? Why do you take it so serious? I guess that's the question I'll start with.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go? I think I want to circle back to what you were talking about and then answer that when we said that a personal trainer is seen as one way. That's because you answered your own question, because exercise was seen as one way, one dimensional. And we always talk about it's more than one dimension. You want to be multi-dimensional or interdependent when we're talking about that pillar system. So exercise has its own pillar. To answer that question is because it's super important for that puzzle. You have to focus on exercise on its own as a separate pillar, just like you do with recovery, just like you do with sleep, nutrition, and your mindset. But I think people are so familiar with exercise.
Familiarity breeds, what's it say?
Complacency.
Yeah.
So people are complacent with the same thing. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to expect the same thing. So the thing with our corporate client that we were working with, they were surprised that, wow, you guys are very knowledgeable. You guys just picked me apart by assessing what I need. And by the end of that session, we were actually fixing a lot more deeper things than just the exercise. So I think if you take a one-dimensional approach, that's why people just say, okay, it's just whatever, right? You have to have, again, a routine for each. Routine for exercise, routine for sleep, routine for nutrition, routine for mindset pillar, and routine for recovery. So I'm still going to be circling back and trying to tie everything back into that routine.
That was perfect. All right, you said personal training, people were seen as this. Let me just call it out, right? They said, trust your thought. I'm learning how to trust my thought. It's when you go into a facility to be a personal trainer, that's what they teach. So they're not getting teachers, real teachers. They're getting someone to just giving them knowledge or some type of knowledge on how to sell, how to retain the client, how to make the client sweat. This teaching, they don't coach like in a real way of multi-pillars, right? They don't coach in those ways. It's just basically come in, they'll hire anyone, and we're going to turn you into a trainer. How many people have we seen come in this industry and they are doing something completely different? How many people you seen come in and out of facilities doing something completely different, right? It's because they're hiring people that aren't really into changing a human being, right? They don't hire those type of people, right? So you're only going to get 2 out of 20 that's really truly love going in, training, changing a human being from top to bottom, just like you said, moving in different directions, not just like, hey, how you kill time by talking, kill time about, like, how was your weekend? Your clients do that all the time. They're just doing it to try to kill time. You know, you have clients that come in, hey, why you don't talk? Why is it just train, workout? You're coaching me, you're training. Why is that? Can I sit down and talk? Can I please? No, because I'm trying to maximize your hour that you're spending with me, right? They don't, to go back, they don't have teachers like us or coaches, however you want to spin it, but at that level to say, hey, listen, how many people came up to me, Dre, how you do this in the facilities, right? The gyms. I'm gonna give you the blueprint. Do X, Y, Z. There's only 3 steps I'm gonna give you to do. They don't do it because they're not in it. They don't realize how hard it is. They don't really want clientele. Oh, I just want to train 2 people and then be out and go and have fun and party. They're not really into it. And that's the, I would say, the issue with the industry and the people, the teachers that they're hiring to teach the lower, well, I don't want to say lower, but to teach the newer coaches, entry level, right? It's just a quick little, I want to say bull crap at the end of the day, right? It's just bull crap. So that's my view on it.
So I have 2 questions after that.
I'll go ahead. I'll go after you. No, I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Go on, man.
First thought.
It's not the first thought thing. It's like a game. I'm like, yo, I want to see what piece the output's in. But,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm interested. Because I'm naturally.
I mean, I was gonna basically piggyback off of what Dre said. He was taking the spin into the industry, so I wanted to go dive into the industry, and that's the main thing. You have the difference in the industry is what we do here at PVS.
So I was gonna go right into that in the triple alley-oop. It's gonna be triple alley-oop. While I see this, and you can edit this out. But boom, I want to ask you 2 questions based on what you said. The first one, and then you could. This is gonna be a perfect transition. But the first one is, you mentioned that they don't coach them the right way. Okay, so right now we're actually building a team of coaches.
Absolutely.
We'll go more into that. That's why I said it's a Globetrotters that's why I said it's a Globetrotters triple alley. But what I want to hear from you, what should we be looking for in coaches to be able to distinguish who really has that passion and who's just putting up a front?
Okay, perfect. Someone that's coming in.
When it comes to exercise, guys, for the audience listening in, this question is still pertinent to exercise. We're building a team of coaches that are going to help guide everybody through exercise. Absolutely. And passion is a very important piece of the formula. I'm asking Dre, the cheat code, the formula, what his opinion is.
First, I would say, if they're coming in, let's say they're not prioritizing their own training, either come in 2 hours before and train, an hour before, however you do it, right? If they're not prioritizing their own training for themselves, self-care, right? That's how you would know. If they're not willing to learn it, hear it, and at least try it and apply it. Right? If you don't see them do it, I'm gonna do this for a week. Let me see. You can learn it by just going through, actually doing the routine of the program in that week. If you're at that level, right? Come in. Hey, Dre, how do you get this? Hey, Yao, how do you do this? Hey, okay, I'm gonna give you one. What are you trying to get? Okay, I'm gonna give you one exercise. Because we know how people are, right? Give you one. If you see them adding that in their routine and applying it, doing it, then you see them learning it, doing it, teaching them, right, going through the mechanics to try and learn it, and then you see them give it to a client and then see them teaching it. So if they're taking and not, if they ask you a question, take the routine, yo man, I'm doing the whatever, I see this is starting to improve. Yeah man, I can see it. Those type of things. So still be willing to learn, still be, don't be a know-it-all. Don't be a know-it-all. At least try it, right? At least say, oh, I'll take your advice. Okay, I'll try it one time. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. I already know already. I don't need that. How do you know you don't need it and you haven't tried it?
Interesting. So almost, can I say
So
that?
that's 2 things.
Can I say that the passion can be kind of assessed based on whether they have an open mind or not when it comes to exercise?
Yeah.
Passion for exercise?
Passion to be a coach.
Yeah, I think the industry is really lacking of awareness. So where are we? Is this the fitness industry, wellness industry? What are we doing here? So the main thing is when you said, okay, why are the coaches coming in and not being able to register what they need? You're saying lack of interest, they want to try it, and open-mindedness, but no one's ever been taught. No one's ever had a mentorship. And that's what's missing
True.
out of coaching in general.
That's a great point.
Back in the day, I know I look young,
Back
but
in
I'm
the day.
41, right? I'm still young, actually. I look good. Back in the day, it was all mentorship. You could not go into anything without having that apprenticeship. You had to have a mentor. They had to have a system.
Oh, really?
Period.
Yes. Yeah. He's
Period.
100% right.
Nowadays, anybody can go on IG and whatever. I'm a trainer. I'm a coach. I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm an expert. I'm a guru. But they haven't had the experience. They haven't been able to have an expertise because of that experience, and they don't have the education. And education doesn't have to just be, I'm going to college like I did. You don't have to do that. Education could be going through your experiences, and you're gathering education by training multiple clients in multiple situations. But I think what's lacking is the mentorship aspect, because a lot of people have certs out of the yin yang, but they still don't get it. When you're going through a mentorship program or an apprenticeship, you actually have to put yourself through a program. How many of these coaches come into the industry that have never actually put themselves through a strength program, a speed program, a combat program, a performance program? And you might say, okay, well, don't all personal trainers and coaches? No, they don't. They don't do that. They don't do that. So one thing we do here at PBS, like I was alluding to, here in Lower Manhattan, right? So we're opening up a new spot. It's going to be RFX Studios, PVS, powered by us. That's Peak Vitality Solutions. And what we do is we hang our hat on education, right? Hang our hat on education. Education first. If you educate yourself on being aware of, are you a personal trainer? Are you a group exercise teacher? Are you a class teacher? Are you a boxing teacher, boxing coach? Are you a performance coach? Are you a consultant? What are you first? Be aware of what you want to do in the industry before you get into the industry. And that's the main thing, and that's the main thing I see what's lacking with the industry, and that's what I want to try and bring back. That's what we want to try and bring back, and that's exactly what we're doing here at PBS.
Beautiful. Mentorship, 100% correct. So you could say there's no need for mentorship, right? Because there's so much information you can learn on .com, you can learn on from Instagram influencer, you can learn off of Facebook, you can learn, it's at your hand. You can learn right now without physically putting yourself through it. So like you said, the mentorship, it's the experience, obviously, and it's being hands-on and actually going through the motion. Right now it's, oh, I already learned it. Oh, I read this and it said this. How do you know, the study shows this, and then all you're doing is reading studies, but you're not putting yourself through it. Like, people think they can learn just from that, when, yes, that's great information, but you still have to put in the groundwork, the physical, the sweat, equity. You still have to put that work in.
Yeah, I would say they're not really learning unless you've done it.
Well, people think that.
Oh yeah,
that's why I was like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're not really learning unless you've done it, unless you put yourself through it. Like, if you haven't put yourself through a routine, you haven't put yourself through a program to actually gain muscle. Yeah. If you yourself have never done it, then you haven't learned it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And that actually circles back to why we're speaking on exercise and what the opportunity to enhance your understanding within exercise, but also to really, at the end of the day, so you get more fruits of labor. Mm-hmm. Everybody, I mean, that's just like a raw emotion. It's like, I don't want to see people doing 2 hours of work incorrectly and then like they get frustrated. That's a terrible feeling. And it circles back to what you just mentioned. It's like, the reason why we take exercise so seriously is because there's a lot to learn about exercise.
Yes, exactly.
And if you think there's not a lot to learn about exercise, whether you're a professional, a corporation, or an individual, then I would suggest that it's very important to be open-minded. and then you decide how you want to view the world from there.
Yeah, I mean, go, sorry.
And so
I'm trying to get better at not cutting people off.
You can go off that. I definitely want to ask Dre the second question.
Okay.
Based on earlier on, but definitely want to hear your feedback to that.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all. I'm just gonna be Mr. Piggyback today. So you basically have to put yourself through the ringer. You cannot call yourself a guru. There's no such thing as overnight gurus. We need to get that through. I want to tell the community, perfect. If you're trying to select a coach or a trainer or a consultant, right? You need to make sure that they have gone through the proper steps of transforming themselves first. So aesthetics matter. It's not about judging someone. Oh, this person doesn't look like a coach. Well, maybe they don't understand or they haven't applied an actual program to change or transform their body. If you want to really transform your body, you need to make sure that that person that's coaching you has transformed their own body. That's going to be a number one thing when you're talking about searching for someone to take you through the journey of the exercise pillar, right? Even though we put it fifth on the list in orders of operations, it's still a pillar. So you have to have 100% conscious effort in a routine that's going to get you to maximize each pillar.
It's funny. It could be, shout out to Thorne. It could be the Thorne, cognitive stack. We'll talk about that nutrition episode. But
Nice.
I'm still going to remember the question I want to ask you. And I want to follow up with what you just said,
Okay.
Because we are on the topic of exercise and we have a wide audience, right? Potential wide audience. It could be a coach, it could be corporate, or it could be individual. Why isn't it vain or shallow, and I'm just being devil's advocate,
Right.
to say the coach has to be in shape themselves? What if they used to be in shape? What if they're going through some changes themselves and they're out of shape?
It's always...
And hold on, and they
Okay.
actually need to make, let's say they are in some financial troubles and they need to make money. What?
Right. So I'll take the last one. I never want to go into using fear to guide yourself. So if you're low on money, which I've lived in my car before. Okay, I lived in my car before. All right. But if I work off of scarcity and fear, then you're just going to do anything, right? You're going to trash your body just to do whatever you can survive. I need to do 12 sessions, so it doesn't matter if I just have nothing but caffeine and sugar to hold me up and stay awake. But what happens is you're not living your authentic truth, and people will see that. People will see that you're not living your authentic truth. So what I would say is make sure you're not living your life through fear. Make sure you're living your life through love and acceptance and freedom. If you do that, then you will always take care of yourself first. So to answer the other question, it's not hating or it's not looked at as being bad if I say, okay, the coach over there is not in his best shape, but you have to be consciously doing it and making yourself better than you were every day. Right? So if you start Tuesday and then next Tuesday, same thing, next Tuesday, same thing, next Tuesday, then you're not constantly being better, then that's where I have the problem.
But, sorry.
Yes.
I went to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, that's where the problem is. So I'm never going to judge someone if they're 50 pounds over their weight they're usually comfortable being, but are they now next month 49 pounds? Next month, 48
Over
pounds.
time.
Next month, as long as you're increasing and improving yourself to be better, there's no shame in that. We can meet you where you are. But when you don't actually apply things that people tell you and advise you to that would help you and you're stuck in your ways, then if you stay the same, you are falling behind.
Yeah.
The constant in this universe is change. Everything is going to be constantly changing. And if you stay the same, you can't adapt, then you're behind. So I said that's where the problem would be.
Gotcha. And that actually applies for clients as well, because I was thinking, like, why do some individuals still pay these people even though they're not representing the lifestyle that they're looking for?
One-dimensional.
Right? They're still investing. It's not like I'm a business only minded. It's just like, as I was coming up in the personal training game, I was just noticing, like, oh, like, okay. I was insecure with what I was delivering. So I was I would always like look around to assess my environment. I would see some clients, they just keep paying Like, it could be a money thing, even if not getting any results, or even if the person's out of shape, or even if the person just doesn't live that life. And I saw the other versions of people who actually made change, and I was like, okay, I feel more secure if in being able to sustain my future, revenue-wise or financially, or just like, ego, you could say, in being able to create change versus not. Like I would feel embarrassed if clients didn't make some form of progress. But some people, and now again we're talking about exercise, some people the progress is just getting out of the office and coming to the gym for an hour, even if they're not changing, but that's a different benefit. That's not an exercise benefit. That may be a mindset benefit, but you're paying someone for exercise, and that just kind of circles back to, you don't even think exercise is, you have anything to learn about exercise, so of course you're gonna let yourself just go in the cycle. If you think there's nothing to learn about yourself or about exercise, you're gonna stay in the same place. And that applies for many things, right?
Yeah.
Right? If you think you already know what exercise is, you come in like, no, I'm gonna do exercise this way. If you already think you know about yourself 100%, and you know 100% about exercise, you're most likely gonna stay in the same spot.
Yeah, people that's not listening to the advice so that's why this is gonna be great. Like, they know I don't like talking, like secretive or whatever about those things, but that's why it's gonna be great.
Now,
right?
The second question, and I want both of you guys to chime in. Again, this comes from conversations we normally have. Earlier we were talking about like, me coming to this new position with PBS and...
What is that position? Listen, man, let me tell you something right now, okay? Co-founders of Peak Vitality Solutions, we are now co-owners of RFX Studios and Peak Vitality Solutions, and we have partnered with Prolific Creators, which is a media production company. He is a creative director that owns his own company. He is also an owner of a company, and so am I. I know you weren't going to say it. I know you're not going to say it. So I'm on brand. I'm saying it. That's why we can qualify ourselves for knowing what we're doing. And we did this through the midst of COVID when we were shut down. Continue.
So what I was saying is a lot of people will see me come into a new position, and personally, it's like I'm learning. I was talking to Dre about, the business lingo is a language I learned, but I was already thinking like that beforehand. But I was thinking about the sales cycle, and how it's going to change, how I have to kind of equip myself and help if I better serve myself, then I can better serve my team, right? So I was thinking about how to upgrade myself to design a new sales cycle for the processes at PBS, but also what we'll be offering our corporate client and partner RFX Studios, right? In order to the sales design process is actually very important, because if you dilute it, then there has to be some form of education to the consumer. I don't want to get too complicated with that. We'll talk about that in the business workshop.
Yeah, that's definitely business
workshop. Hold on, time out.
Oh, this is the Vitality Handbook. That's what we do. We give it a secret.
Hold on, but this is exercise, and I want to circle it back to why I even got that far in the first place, why I went to business school in the first place, because my first training job ever with Dre, we used to sit, I was so nervous. I was introverted, nervous. I was like, yo, Dre, I didn't know no business lingo. I was coming straight out of Dre saved me. Dre caught me when I was smoking cigarettes and Black and Mild. And
drinking Henny.
Woo! Dre caught me right in that moment, okay? And so I didn't have any of this lingo, so don't think I'm like stuck. Whatever perception you have of me, you have to understand my story. I don't really express all my stories, so you'll learn more about me and the squad as we go on, as you subscribe and tune in. But the beginnings of it was, I was nervous and insecure. I couldn't believe I was charging somebody $65.
Yeah.
$65? When I remember like quarters, like if I had $2.50 in quarters to buy bacon, egg, and cheese, I was like, that was the day. But $65, I was like, whoa, me? So with that insecurity, I went to Dre, asking him now that I know the word sales question, Dre, what do I have to do? Tell me, like, he was my mentor when it came to that. And he told me 5 contacts a day. Dre didn't go to business school. He's not using the language of, all right, Nick, all right, you're gonna sit down here, we're gonna talk about business, okay? Your sales method is gonna be 5 contacts a day. You're gonna be building a customer list.
Right.
He didn't say none of that. He just said, you gotta get 5 contacts a day. And because I wanted to represent my mentor, to because I represent my mentors, then I was okay. I got 5 contacts a day, no matter what, no matter how insecure and however I felt about it. I was like, my respect was more important than any of that. So I got those 5 contacts. But to circle that story around, that was the explanation because of the complicated business, by the way, guys.
Right.
Okay, but to circle that back,
That was the explanation.
No, I'm saying like none of that lingo matters, but it does matter. And the energy behind me going into that is because I want to let everybody know that me and Dre were sitting down once I did those 5 contacts a day every single day, and me and Dre became the top trainers when me and Dre became the top trainers at the gym that we were at, the top trainers. Okay, we came in maybe in less than 30 days.
Yeah, less than 30 days.
We became the top trainers.
Yeah.
I went to another gym on my own, and I broke the sales record. Okay, I'm just saying like there's some credibility behind it. But in that gym at that time, me and Dre, after grinding and doing the basic work, being at the top, we would have new trainers come in and ask us questions. How do we get more clients? And I would love sitting. It would be inspirational. Like I need you to inspire me.
Right.
Like I need to be inspired too.
Right.
And so we would sit down with trainers, multiple trainers, and they would come in and ask us, and we would tell them. So what we're doing is not different. Right now, what we're doing is not different. So I just wanted to establish some credibility as far as I do have a passion for wanting to empower coaches.
Right.
And Dre's the only one who really vouched, who's been there with me to see that. And so this could be a snippet to talk about the facility opening, but Yao has that too. Right. Dre has that too. He wants to see other people win.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think
damn, that was a long ass fucking
it was good. But my thing, you got to rewind it and listen to what he's actually saying.
When you hear it,
and it really does make sense. I mean, basically, I had a mentor, so I knew I needed to mentor. People that mentor people had mentors. Whether it was a boxing coach, whether it was an uncle, whether it was someone at the facility that saw your potential and said, yo, young fella, that is mentorship. And what has been missing from the industry, rewind the tape, like I said, is mentorship. People can research all they want. We have smartphones to do that. But you need someone to bounce back ideas, to make sure to check you when you're going in the wrong direction or in the directions that are appropriate for your goals.
Yes.
And that's where mentorship comes in.
Hold on. Say that again. I'll say it again.
You could be working as hard as you can and research all the things you can, but that's not appropriate for your goals. Your goal might be to put on 10 pounds of solid muscle, and you're doing cardio all day long. And you're like, wow, I'm doing really good. Now, if you had a mentor that knew the ins and outs of the industry and performing, they would say, hey, young fella, you're just going to be Slim Jim, right? You're not going to maintain muscle. You're not doing it. You see what I'm saying? Or someone's trying to lose weight, which a lot of you guys might be trying to do that. You need to make sure that you have an appropriate mentorship to make sure that you're going in the right direction and you're not putting 100% effort in the wrong direction. So mentorship is totally key. My thing is, when we're talking about the exercise pillar, what is something that you want to tell the audience about it? Whether it needs to be 100%, you need to really focus on it, people doing it wrong, whatever. What is it that you want to leave the audience with? We're talking about that exercise pillar. We told you about the ins and outs of the professionalism of coaching and personal training. What is missing? What is it that you want to portray to the community out there?
I'm gonna go. Understand that it's a journey, period. It's a journey.
Gem.
It's going to be up and down.
Gem.
Up and down. That's it. It's a journey. It's going to be up and down. But what the key is stick to when it's at your peak, and when you're down here, when you're halfway, when you're all the way up high at the top, and then you drop down from an injury or whatever it is, or whatever you go through in life, but you're still doing it till you get back to that peak again, right? It's hard to sustain the peak. It's hard to stay there, but you got to you got to continue to always reach for that, right? So even if you're down here, the key, I can't wait to get to that peak again. You get that peak, man, it feels great staying here, right? You're staying there for months, a week, however long you're there. Damn, drop down again, but you're still reaching for that peak. So that's what I mean about it's like it's up and down, bro. So just understand it's a journey. It's not easy. And I'll leave off with that.
I mean, that's a mic drop, Nick. Yeah, you gotta go after that, bro.
You gotta make sure you ask me first.
You gotta go after that, bro. You gotta go after that.
You got this.
I'm getting my
Keep
break.
it.
I got the in the process we trust in my bio, man. What are you taking mine? That's it. First thought when it comes to exercise is, I mean, I was gonna ask the team, but I'll just say it to you, just ask yourself what you have to learn about exercise. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
Open your mind. Open your mind.
Put that big crit in the background.
Big
Shout out to
crit.
Open your mind when it comes to exercise.
Yep.
Open your mind.
Yep, open your mind.
We're not telling you how to open your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we help open minds, but consider what you haven't thought about when it comes to exercise.
Open your mind to understand and realize that all movements is beneficial. It's how you do it. Okay, and how you program it together. Right? Okay.
All right, now I'm feeling offended. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna go.
How did Dre just come out like out of nowhere?
Boy, Dre's been hitting gyms all day today. He's actually talked the most.
No, that's actually his boxing skill too. He's like puts the weight on, boom, and when you don't expect it, like, this guy's slow.
I mean, just rewind the tape. Dre's just so. I'm not even gonna try and just. It's gonna be a piggyback. That's what I've been doing all day. So piggyback off of what our mission is, what our actual mission statement is. We talk about helping you optimize your peak vitality through your journey of the wellness industry or the vitality industry. That's Dre. Dre just said that. I might have made it sound good, but Dre said that. Do you see what I'm saying? So what Nick is saying, he's always on target with leading into what you really need to understand of being open-minded. You have to be open-minded to be able to master your mindset. You can't master your mindset if you're closed off. If you're closed off, you can't receive your blessings from the universe. So he's saying for you to be open-minded so you can receive your blessings. I'm not saying that. That's what he said. Now, what I'm saying is the same thing I've been saying on brand, and you guys can say it with me because you already know. Get off the couch and be disciplined. Have a routine. It doesn't matter what you do. You got to do something. You got to stay consistent. Like he said, peaks and valleys. If you stay consistent, you will always be closer to the peak and be further away from the valley. If you stay disciplined in your routine, you will always be open-minded to get to that next level. So what I'm trying to say is every single day, you have to have the energy, the vigor to strive to be better than you were yesterday. You have the choice, the responsibility to always do what's best for you and to thrive. So, fellas, let's get into it.